It was a bright, beautiful morning in Manhattan. Mrs. Harry, a middle-aged, rather bulky-looking white American female, was sitting on the balcony of her apartment, which was situated on the 8th floor. While sipping on her tea, she was enjoying the view of the cloudy sky. She saw her husband, Mr. Harry, jogging in the park with their dog, Alex, beside him, and waved at them. Suddenly, her eyes fell on a black car, which entered the compound area and stopped in front of their building. From the passenger seat in front, a young teenage girl came outside, wearing a blue kurti and trousers. From the back seat, two small kids around 7 to 8 years old emerged, with bottles of juices in their hands. They were all chit-chatting with each other and ran towards the park while their car moved towards the main parking lot. The sound of giggling and laughing of those children suddenly exhilarated the whole environment. But for Mrs. Harry, their presence and laughter were none less that disturbed the peaceful environment. "Ah, more children," Mrs. Harry commented disappointedly. A minute later, from the parking lot, a modest-looking female in her mid-30s appeared, draped in a Banarsi sari. She went straight towards the kids and spoke something in their native language. All of them entered the building gleefully and headed to their apartment, which, coincidentally, happens to be right next to Mrs. Harry. Mrs. Harry came to know about this coincidence when she heard the sounds of those children from her neighboring balcony. "Blimey, this is such a bad start for this good day." And if that wasn't enough, those children started waving their hands in her direction. Half-heartedly, she threw a smile towards them and went inside her apartment. Mrs. Sheetal was an Indian immigrant and a mother of those 3 little kids. The eldest daughter was Anaya, while the 2 little munchkins were Arush and Amar. Their whole family was very lively and cheerful. These people followed their customs and traditions very closely and considered an obligation to respect and love everyone around them. Therefore, to build a close relationship among neighbors, the very next day after their shifting, Mrs. Sheetal cooked dessert and went to every neighboring apartment as a token of love. They all were welcome and loved by everyone in the building, except their most close adjoining neighbors, Mrs. Harry. "Mommy, why are they not opening the door?" Amar asked. "Dear, we will come in the evening. It might be possible that no one is at home. But we saw the lady inside earlier today," Arush commented. "Honey, she might be sleeping. It's okay. We will come some other time." Okay. They all went inside their apartment, while Mrs. Harry silently kept listening to the voices from behind her door until the door was closed. Next day, while Sheetal and Anaya were heading to their apartment, they saw Mrs. Harry in the park. They stopped to greet her because they haven't been introduced yet officially. "Hello," Sheetal greeted. "Yes." Mrs. Harry raised her eyebrow slightly. "You must be Mrs. Harry." "Yes, I am," she replied curtly. "I am Sheetal. This is my daughter, Anaya. We have shifted to the apartment next to you." "Yes, I know." At this point, Anaya was almost scared. She hid behind her mother. "We visited yesterday, but you were probably not at home." "Why?" she asked in an arch tone. "Excuse me?" Sheetal got confused. "Why did you come?" "Oh, actually I cooked dessert and thought of bringing it to you. This way we could get to know each other better." "No, there is no need for such delicacy. My husband and I both avoid sugar." "Oh, I see." There was a momentary pause. No one said a word. Anaya pulled her mother's hand, signaling her to go. "It was very nice meeting you," Sheetal bid, in response to which Mrs. Harry did not even bother to reply, but simply nodded. "She was so stern," Anaya commented, as soon as they reached the inside of their apartment. "That must be her nature. Not everyone likes to talk a lot." Sheetal was trying to be optimistic, though she felt her harsh tone as well. "But Mommy, she could at least smile. Her expressions were horrific." You shouldn't talk like that about elders. I told you. It must be a part of her personality to not mingle up so easily." "Huh?" Anaya said. A few days later, Anaya commented on her return from school. "I met Mr. Harry in the park." "And?" Sheetal asked nonchalantly while cooking food. "He seems like a nice person. The exact opposite of his wife." Sheetal gave her a warning stare to behave. "I am saying what I observed. Besides, I don't think Mr. Harry's behavior was because of her nature or personality. She seems to discriminate against us from others, because I saw her talking normally with other ladies." "Not at all. That must be because we're just new and not quite familiar with each other. Neither did she give a chance for familiarity, And perhaps because we share different ethnicities. Maybe. Look at you, my dear little princess. You're just 11, and you don't have to worry about such matters. Go change your uniform, Chital scolded her sweetly. Okay. Mommy! Mommy! Arush and Amar entered the room while crying. What happened? Why are you all crying? Chital asked worriedly. Mrs. Harry scolded us for playing and shouting in the park. She said you children are disturbing me. Go back to your home if you want to create such noises. Arush, the elder one, explained the whole tale while wiping his tears. I swear, Mommy, we didn't do anything wrong. We were just playing. Why would she scold us without any reason? We don't know. She didn't scold anyone else. Just the two of us. Don't cry, my baby. I'll talk to her. That afternoon, Chital saw Mrs. Harry outside her apartment. She took the opportunity to talk to her. Hello, Mrs. Harry. Yes. Actually, I wanted to talk to you for quite some time. If you have a moment, please. Sure, then make it quick. I have to go for groceries. Again, the blunt tone disturbed Chital. I am sorry to say this, but it seems like you are offended by me and my family somehow. May I know the reason? Why would I be offended? So you are not? Of course not. Then may I ask what wrong my children did while playing in the park yesterday evening, which made you scold them and send them back home? Chital asked gently, not sounding like she was ready for a fight. But on the other hand, Mrs. Harry seemed ready to fight. Well, if you are on the topic, then let me give you a piece of advice. Teach your children to play without shouting and screaming. They destroy everyone's peace in the community. That was becoming too much to absorb for Chital. Thank you for your advice, but let me tell you, if you are not aware of this fact, there are a lot of children who play and shout in the park, just the way my children do at evening time. And apparently no one seemed to be bothered by them because everyone knows that's how children are supposed to play. So can you please be less bothered next time? Because my children feel discriminated against when you scold them specifically out of all others. Noticing the serious tone of Chital, Mrs. Harry went silent for a moment, then replied with a raised chin. Sure, I'll try to be less bothered. It was a fine evening and the weather was good as well. Most of the people from the apartment were gathered at the park. Everyone was busy chattering, gossiping, jogging, etc. Children were playing with their usual enthusiasm, when suddenly the compound reverberated with streams of Amar. Help! Help! Chital looked in his direction and saw Alex, the dog, trying to attack him. Amar! She shouted at once. Everyone noticed the sudden panic. Mr. Henry immediately blew his whistle and tried to control Alex. Hey, stop, Alex! He caught him and gave a tug at his collar. Stop! Stop! Calm! Amar came running to Chital, crying like hell. How could you leave such an untrained dog open? What if he had bitten my son? Who would have been responsible? Chital shouted at Mr. Harry. We are really sorry, Miss Chital. This dog is not untrained, but I am pretty sure your ill-mannered children must have teased him first to have his reaction. That's why I asked you to keep your children inside your home. Mrs. Harry stepped into their conversation to turn it into an argument. You are blaming my children? They did nothing wrong. Everyone witnessed what happened. Your dog reacted that way out of nowhere. You must take it to some vet or keep it inside, because if this incident happens again, I will surely call the police, Chital replied in a stern voice. Mr. Harry hushed his wife. We apologize once again. We will keep our dog in check. Thank you, she said, and she went inside the building with her children. Weeks passed, but both Mrs. Harry and Chital remained on boycott terms, when suddenly, one day, a weird incident took place. Mommy, look! Mrs. Harry is shouting for help. Arush shouted from the balcony and called to his mother. Chital came running and saw Mrs. Harry, trying to protect herself from the dog which had turned mad. Oh my God! All of you stay right here. Let me call security. Security entered the apartment and captured the dog before any more damage. Mrs. Harry suffered from a few scratches, but she was provided first aid immediately. Are you all right? Chital asked. Yes, it's all thanks to you and your kids. Otherwise, she said with a broken voice, no need to mention that. It is our responsibility to take care of our neighbors. I was so wrong to think poorly of your family. I've always despised kids, but today, I'm so sorry. She started crying. Chital patted her shoulder and looked into her eyes with genuine concern. It's all right. Such things happen. What matters is that we define the boundaries of differences among us, because we are humans first. Mrs. Harry nodded slightly and hugged her. Chital hugged her back, and all the problems between them dissolved at once.